right, so we see that all of the people of the earth were together geographically at that point, and they spoke one language. So they spoke one language, and they were all together, and they said that they were afraid that they would be scattered across the face of the earth. So they decided to build a tower. And they decided it, for two reasons. They wanted to reach to the heavens, and they wanted to make a name for themselves. So they used bricks, a special type of bricks and tar to build the structure. And we saw that God disapproved of what they were doing, so he confused their language and scattered them across the earth. So the interesting thing that it doesn't say is that God destroyed the tower.
Yeah.
It doesn't say God destroyed the tower. It says he confused their language and they scattered across the earth. And then they stopped building what?
The city.
The city, not the tower.
Right. So it was a city, it wasn't a tower.
It was both. It was a big tower. There was a whole city.
Yeah.
It was a huge tower.
Yeah. Very huge.
So they stopped building the city. So this was the first city. It was the first mention of a city. So it's a city, so they started the government. So if we're talking about government and we're talking about a man who wants to build a wall, what do you think we're talking about today with what's happening next week?
Building.
Voting?
Huh?
Voting? Or?
Election?
Building a
The
city.
government and a man who wants to build a wall?
Donald Trump. You know,
This is
Donald
all
Trump.
coming into a circle here?
No, I'm just joking.
We're gonna build a city here.
No, we're not talking about Donald Trump. So they want to build a building to reach the heavens, but so they wanted to reach the heavens, but reach the heaven not meaning that, it's like I can, if you had a cousin in New York and, you want me to tell her to send you some money, I can pull out my cell phone and say, oh, I can reach her. Your cell phone's where I say, oh, I'll reach her. So it's not necessarily meaning I'm going to physically stretch all the way there, but it's like I can somehow get from here to there or some method. So reach the heaven, not necessarily by physical height, but some means to get them to heaven. They're going to build a structure that gives them the means to get to heaven. So in Wikipedia, it describes a ziggurat as a massive structure built in the ancient Mesopotamian valley, which is Babylon, and western Iranian plateau, having the form of a terrace step pyramid of successively receding stories or levels. The Mesopotamian ziggurat was not places for public worship or ceremonies. They were believed to be dwelling places for the gods, and each city had its own patron god. Only priests were permitted on the ziggurat or in the rooms at its base, and it was their responsibility to care for the gods and attend to their needs. An example of an extensive and massive ziggurat is the Murdoch ziggurat, or Etemenanki, which is Etemenanki, of ancient Babylon. So they have an example of a massive ziggurat in ancient Babylon that is there today. So unfortunately, not much of the base is left of this massive structure. Yet archaeological findings and historical accounts put the tower at 7 multicolored tiers, topped with a temple of exquisite proportion.
Wow, sounds beautiful. Multicolored?
Multicolored. Yeah. So these pictures aren't multicolored, but that's multicolored. So Etemenanki, the name for the structure, is Sumerian and means temple of the foundation of heaven and earth. So there is a structure there in Babylon, the place where they built the tower. And the name of the structure that they named it was Temple of the Foundation of Heaven and Earth. Coincidence? So it's the Marduk ziggurat. So it's for Marduk. So ziggurats, they weren't built for you to go up and visit the deity or the god that you're worshiping. They were built as a way for you to get the god to come down. So the god would come down and be inside of this ziggurat. And so the goal was to try to obtain favor from that god. So they would worship the god and appease it and try to get it to do something for them. We talked about that type of thing before and said it was called it a gateway. So a gateway between heaven and earth. So they all had their own gods. Some of them had two, which was probably a husband and a wife god. And so some of them, they would worship other nations' god. You may worship the god of a neighboring nation. And so they had these idols. And so were these real gods, or were these just statues, or what was going on there?
It seemed like they were statues.
Yes, let's see. 1 Corinthians 10:19-20.
Do I mean that the food sacrificed to an idol is anything? Or that an idol is anything? No, but the sacrifices of pagans are offered to demons, not to God. And I do not want you to be participants with demons.
Right. So these idols, these gods they have, were demons. So each of these gods was a demon, a different demon. So each nation sacrificed to a different demon. Each nation was worshiping a different demon.
Okay.
And so
Demon gods?
demon that they called gods. So Elohim with a small e. So they were calling them gods. So they were demons that they called gods. Some of them called their kings God, and some of these were they called these demons gods and they worshiped them and they sacrificed to them. The ziggurats had two purposes: were to bring the demon down to earth from heaven and to exalt the king as God.